This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Friday, September 30th, 2022. We're so glad you can join us today. In this episode of Ag Matters PM, we hear a bit on sustainability in the beef cattle industry from Dr. Jessica Fink, a strategic account manager with Merck Animal Health. We also have a look at that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, and for a bit of analysis, we go to Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. Tyler, the quarterly grain stocks report came out today, so what did we see on that, and how did that affect the grain markets?
The quarterly grain stocks, USDA came in, and they came at a 1.377 billion bushel stocks on September 1 on corn, which was about 150 million bushels below the average of the estimates, and I think about 50 million below the lowest end of the range. So well below what any of the analysts had expected. That shot the corn market up. I think about the time the grain stocks report came out, we had East corn trading in the 680 range. It shot up to 696. It couldn't hold it. There was a little bit of a sell-off, traded back down to that lower 680 range, kind of back up, and then near the end of the day, kind of all grains gave it up, likely a little bit of profit taking heading into the weekend after a big move up on the day, which a lot of times when that happens, that triggers a lot of sell stops that are working. Soybeans actually came in the other side. So soybeans, the ending stocks on September 1 were 0.274, so 274 million bushels. That came in considerably higher than the average of estimates. The average was at about 242 million bushels. So a pretty big miss to the upside on the analyst estimates was a miss to the downside on soybeans, and wheat came in right where the average estimate was. Soybeans ended up the day down 44 3/4 cents. The November settled at 13.66. Your corn up 8.5 cents. That settled at 6.78 on December corn. And as I said, wheat came right in at the average estimate of analysts, and yet performed pretty strong with December Kansas City trading up 25.5 cents, closing at 9.92 1/4, and Chicago December wheat up 27 cents, closing at 9.23 1/4, and your December Minneapolis up 15 3/4 at 9.81 3/4. The strength in the wheat market had a lot to do with the news out of Russia today too. They did announce that they were proceeding with their annexation of the 4 territories in the Ukraine, and so the turmoil in that region is not dying down. So that just added to the fire of the stocks report today.
Right, and with that corn especially, this isn't really the time of year, I don't think, where we're looking at possibly $7 corn. So how does that kind of impact the market landscape going forward?
This rally that really started in mid-July, we went down to a low in mid-July of 561, and we have rallied up to 678. So, nearly $1.20 rally over the last 2.5 months here. And that's very contra-seasonal. Usually, as you kind of hit the nail on the head, typically this time of the year, we're trending down, not trending up. The reason for that is obviously the yields and what we think we're going to see out of this crop that's getting harvested now has been coming down over those 2 months. And this news with the tightening balance sheet, what they did was they actually cut production from last year. And this is just going to make our carryout this year smaller. And as our bushels or our production this year gets smaller with slashing yields, that's just going to tighten the balance sheet for next year. So price is going to have to move up in order to ration that demand. Some are talking that we are seeing some of that. There has been a slowdown in the ethanol production over the last few weeks. Clearly we're behind on export pace as well. So really what it's going to come down to now is less speculation on what yields are and what is coming off this crop as the combines get rolling over the next, they are rolling in some areas, but as it heats up here in the next month or two. So, the answer to your question, yes, this is not normal. It's not what we would normally see, but I would argue we're in anything but a normal environment here with the dryness we experienced and with the tensions and geopolitical issues going on.
Right, and of course, the main focus was on the grains today, but what did we see in the livestock markets?
Yesterday you saw feeder cattle shoot up $3, and everybody that owns cattle was calling, trying to figure out why, what was the reason for cattle being up $3. And the best answer we could give anyone was, because it could. And today it just went in and took it all back. And we actually have a new low close for the short term. Anyhow, we took out some of the lows that we set earlier in the week. Your November feeders closed down at 174.62, which is down $3.20 on the day. Pretty much wiped out all of those gains yesterday. And really, on the feeder cattle side, kind of just a day behind all the other major indicators. The stock indexes, the Dow Jones index shot higher on Wednesday and then sold off yesterday. A lot of those other indicators that we follow and we're given reasons why cattle were down. Actually, they kind of triggered a day before. So I think feeder cattle were just kind of following. Some people were trying to buy it and probably today stepped in, realized maybe they were on the wrong side of it and bailed on their positions. Hogs still kind of struggling. They settled today up 50 cents over the settlement yesterday. So got a little bit of it back. But boy, it's been a tough go of hogs, a pretty stiff sell-off here over the last 2 weeks, just trying to find some ground. And anytime the corn market becomes uncertain and feed costs are uncertain and looking to peak higher, that's going to pressure the livestock.
All right, Tyler, lots of great information today for those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net. How can they do that?
Best thing to do is go to our website, agmarket.net, click on the contact page. There's a list of all of the brokers that work for the company. And if they want to reach out to me directly, my number is 701-987-6009.
All right, Tyler, it's been great talking with you today, and we hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks again. Take care.
That again was Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers closed. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. At the close, December corn is up 8 even at 677.5. November soybeans down 46 even at 1364 3/4. December soybean meal down 420 at 403 even. December soybean oil down 230 at 61.56. Chicago wheat up 25 1/4 at 921.5. Minneapolis spring wheat up 16 even at 982 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 24 3/4 at 991.5. And December oats up 7 1/4 at 390 even. On the Merck, October live cattle down 85 at 143.27. October feeders down 315 at 174.17. Lean hogs down 22 at 89.22. Pork cutout up 45 at 86.80. And Class 3 milk down 2 cents at 19.85. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we hear a bit about sustainability in the cattle industry from Dr. Jessica Fink of Merck Animal Health. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, a little bit ago, I was down in Texas, Amarillo, Texas, to visit with the Merck Animal Health Beef Media event. It was a great event where we had lots of discussion on changes in the cattle industry and improvements that Merck is trying to make. And we heard from Dr. Jessica Fink, a strategic account manager with Merck Animal Health, and she talked about some of the changes that they hope to see and progress that they've made in recent years.
So we'll start with sustainability. Sustainability can be defined differently from everybody. Today we're going to talk about sustainability being the three pillars, or economic viability, environmental responsibility, and social acceptability. A lot of times people think of sustainability as the economic viability piece, because a business and or an industry cannot be viable if they don't have economic sustainability. However, the other two factors we have to balance are environmental responsibility, or our land use, our water resource management, grazing management plans, greenhouse gas emissions, those environmental factors, and the social acceptability is more around your people, or your labor, your community involvement. And while animal welfare does fit in all three of these buckets, we're going to put animal welfare for today's conversation under that social acceptability bucket. So animal health plays a big role in sustainability and cattle production in helping producers balance these three pieces of sustainability. And Merck Animal Health is equipping our cattle customers with animal health products, technologies, training, and advocacy they need to make continuous improvement in economic viability, environmental responsibility, and social acceptability. So with that, since everyone goes to economic viability first, we'll start there. Economic viability results in efficient beef and milk production, and healthier cattle from reproduction to the retail case are the most productive and most efficient users of the resources they require. And continuous improvement in animal health on the farm, ranch, feed yard, and even the dairy requires tools and technologies that are safe, easy to use, proven, and also economically feasible. So Merck Animal Health's comprehensive portfolio of products and new innovations are giving cattle customers, the veterinarians and nutritionists that serve them, the tools and technologies needed to make continuous improvement. And raising healthier animals results in that improved productivity, resource efficiency, and economic return. So we'll start with reproduction and how reproduction and animal health impact sustainability. So failure to conceive, the animal spends a greater proportion of its life in a non-productive or non-reproductive state, thus requiring more resources and reducing their lifetime output. Now, the failure to produce offspring also requires more resources for that animal, and it has more emissions without the offset of that cell of the offspring, thus requiring more time, more emissions, and more resources for that same output. Now we have products at Merck Animal Health, and I'll touch on just where these products fit, and then you'll get a real more in-depth discussion about these products tomorrow. But today we'll talk about Estimate and Fertigill. We have our monitoring collars, and we also have our Sense Hub beef program that help improve reproduction rates and can help offer individual animal tracking and monitoring to help our cattle customers improve those management decisions when it comes to reproduction. Then from a disease prevention, control, and treatment standpoint, when you think about it, when an animal is sick, they're not in their most productive state. They're not growing to their full potential, and they'll require more resources and have more emissions to reach that optimal endpoint or that final output. So it takes longer for that animal to grow, so they're not the most efficient users of those products. So when we have disease prevention, we're thinking more along our vaccines. So trying to prevent those diseases and keep those animals as healthy as possible. We have our Bovilis line that includes our Bovilis Vision, Vista, Nasalgen, and that list will go on. And I think Dr. Parks has a great presentation to get you more in tune with our vaccine line. Now, from a disease control and treatment standpoint, Merck Animal Health has our Nuflor, Resflor Gold, Zaprivo, and you've probably heard our most recently launched Aravin vaccine or Aravin product. And then we also offer Banamine transdermal that you'll see here on the left. The unique thing about Banamine transdermal as something for treatment is it's the only FDA product that's been approved for to control pain associated with foot rot. But it's unique because it's transdermal, so we aren't injecting that into the animal, we're just pouring it on. So animal welfare positive there. And then lastly, when we think about disease, we also have to consider mortality. And when we have animal mortality, those resources are simply wasted. And we require more animals to get to that same amount of output because those resources and emissions don't have anywhere to be spread over. From a parasite management standpoint, internal and external parasite loads really impact the animal's growth. Internal parasites impact the animal's nutritional status. It decreases feed intake and nutrient absorption, thus requiring more resources to reach that optimal endpoint. And just like disease, when an animal is not growing to its full potential because of these internal or external parasite loads, the time taken for that animal to reach their optimal endpoint takes longer, increasing those resources, increasing the time on the farm, and having more emissions. And from a diagnostic standpoint, over the last 5 or so years, Merck Animal Health has really invested in our technologies. So whether it's our Whisper on Arrival that you'll see on the right, Sense Hub Beef, Sense Hub Feedlot, and we have the world's largest fecal egg count reduction test database. These technologies, they allow producers, they offer individual management of their animals to help them be better stewards of the animals they care for. From identifying those outlier animals and the behavioral changes to lung sounds, fever, anything indicative of illness, these products and technologies help producers and offer them opportunities to improve the health and welfare of the animals in their care. Just like the production efficiencies that we've talked about, growth is another way for for producers to help their animals be more sustainable. Now, when animals aren't growing, I've said it a couple of times, when animals aren't growing to their full potential, it takes them longer to reach their optimal endpoint. Or if you end them before they reach their optimal endpoint, there's a reduced red meat yield. Again, those emissions and those resources aren't spread over more product. So it's increasing your relative resource use and emissions per pounds of product. And again, similar to decreased red meat yield, when you have reduced average daily gain, again, it takes animals longer on the farm to reach that optimal endpoint, increase resource use, and increase emissions. Now we have Dr. Walter is going to talk about our implant lines tomorrow. We have our Ralgro and then our Revlor portfolio that really are great examples of helping producers increase their pounds of output by reducing the relative amount of resources used to get there. And as I mentioned in the beginning, animal welfare really, it covers all 3 buckets. It's multifaceted, and as producers are more proactive in their animal care and handling, they are more productive and more efficient with their animals, and their animals will be more efficient with the environmental resources used to get there, and they'll be more economically viable. The cattle will be more economically viable for the producer, and the producer will be more socially acceptable from an animal welfare animal care and welfare standpoint. So at Merck, we offer, depending on what segment of the industry you're in, we have different platforms. So we have some virtual platforms, our Dairy Care 365 and our Beef Care 365 programs. Merck Animal Health is also the lead sponsor for NCBA's Stockmanship and Stewardship program that's really focused on producer education. It's hosted at 4 locations across the U.S. every year, and it gives producers a hands-on experience. Then we also sponsor the American National Cattlewomen's Women in Ranching and Education events. Again, events held across the U.S. that bring women of all ages together. And it's a lot of fun being involved in those trainings, because the women, we normally get delegated certain tasks, but we aren't allowed to do other tasks when we're processing cattle or on the farm. So it really gives women the opportunity to learn how to mix the vaccines or implant or do things that we aren't necessarily allowed to do on our own operations. Or taught. Not allowed, but not taught. So then, all of that said, healthy livestock equal a sustainable food system. Livestock disease impacts vary across the U.S., depending on where you are, but anything that affects growth, quality, reproduction, and or mortality impacts sustainability. And at the end of the day, it's not just an economic issue, it's an animal welfare issue, it's a sustainability issue. And most importantly, keeping animals healthy is vital. So now we'll talk about environmental responsibility. And improving cattle productivity not only reduces our greenhouse gas emissions, but it also reduces our resource use. Healthier animals are simply more productive, which means more food produced and or those animals can grow at a faster rate that reduces their environmental impact. Merck Animal Health, we also, since the inception of the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, we have served a leadership role with that organization, really looking at helping the entire beef value chain figure out where they can be more sustainable, whether it's a self-assessment toolkit that we have, or our self-assessment toolkit that we have available to help producers evaluate their operations in terms of continuous improvement. And then from a social acceptability standpoint, Merck Animal Health is really committed to continuous improvement in animal health and welfare required to maintain social acceptability. Our value chain and consumer affairs team, which I'm a part of, we support sustainable cattle production by building the partnerships and bridging those gaps between the farm to the table, and really helping the food supply chain understand modern animal agriculture practices. We collaborate to advance animal health and welfare. We increase the understanding of those modern animal agriculture practices, and we also, like Tom said, we support the veterinary profession. We also engage with the food supply chain, so my team's very focused on packer, processor, retail food service into the value chain, and really understanding those consumer trends. We advocate for agriculture and being able to let those producers be able to keep all those tools in their toolbox to be the most sustainable they can be. And then we also help build trust through transparency. Lastly, we also have a meat sustainability calculator that is a website and an app. And again, like our service on the Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, we also have this app that helps the entire value chain. Whether you're in cattle production and you want to look at different things you can change and how it impacts your greenhouse gas use, your water use, and your land use, or if you're downstream and you're looking at the beef you're buying and what those commitments mean. If you're making these commitments, then how does that impact the sustainability of the beef you're purchasing?
That again was Dr. Jessica Fink, a strategic account manager with Merck Animal Health. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, this weekend, we're going to have what you would probably call perfect football weather. We're looking at some nice 70-degree temperatures throughout the weekend. For those of you who are watching college football, if you're even going to NFL football games, you should have a great time and no issues with the weather there. And hopefully that weather should continue for a while, as these forecasts have been just showing beautiful weather for the foreseeable future. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, it's going to be yet another beautiful weekend. Today we have mostly sunny skies for most of Iowa and more cloud cover to the northwest with a chance of sprinkles, highs ranging from the upper 60s to upper 70s. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with mostly cloudy conditions and sprinkles in the northwest, Lows overnight should range from the low 40s to low 50s. And tomorrow, expect mostly sunny skies and a little bit warmer temperatures, those highs ranging from the low to upper 70s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee will be sunny and a high of 76, Shenandoah sunny and 71, Des Moines clear and sunny and 74, Waterloo sunny and 73, Albia sunny and 73 as well, and Clinton setting the low with sunny conditions and highs around 70. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find all of our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcasts on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.